Your feelings on that then?
Yeah, obviously very pleased. What I'm most pleased about is not obviously winning is great, but actually I think the manner of our win was very pleasing. You know, we knew that we would have to work very hard against a team that's been very resilient in defence. I think that's got a lot of collective kind of belief and energy. And actually, the way the game went, those points took some scoring, didn't they? You know, if you actually look how it came. We had to have an awful lot of possession into the wind. We had to work extremely hard. We had to go through an awful lot of phases. We took our kicks at goal. We built a score. You know, we didn't get frustrated with scores coming kind of quite slowly, but we actually built our performance. And you know, often when you're in that scenario where the pressure's on you a little bit, and you're not getting the scores maybe your possession demands, it can be very easy to go off script. Someone tries to push something, and to be fair, we did do that a couple of times in the game, but not too often. I think we nearly threw an interception to Gonover in the first half, which didn't come off, and we nearly threw on the second half. But outside of, I think, those two instances, we never really left the script. We got most things right defensively. We created pressure at set piece time. I think what we had was we had a performance that was glued together, and our performance probably was glued together for longer periods than Newcastle's, and ultimately that's what's made the difference in the two scorelines.
You had over 90% of the possession, over 90% of the territory. Have you ever known a game of this magnitude where you have dominated a first half like that?
No, I mean, I actually said to the players that, you know, it may not feel like it sometimes, but I don't think I've watched this play a game where we had so much control for such a long period. I mean, that wavered a couple of instances in the second half, didn't it? You know, which led to their points, and rightly so for them. But actually, in that first half, it was probably one of those points where you're going, oh, we're not. I mean, I was doing the defensive review with the players at half time, and there wasn't a lot to talk about. You know, and I actually said to them, what's the best thing about our defence? And two or three of the lads said, because we haven't had to do any, which is exactly right. You know,
we had 9 tackles.
We did exactly the right thing. We kept the ball, and if you keep the ball, you don't have to defend. That's the best way to defend, isn't it? And that was definitely a big part of our game plan. Obviously, that'll have to be slightly different next week against Saracens, but we went into the game with some definite goals of what we wanted to achieve, and the players worked very, very hard to achieve them.
The fact you haven't had to put in as big a defensive shift as maybe you have had in previous matches, is that an advantage going into next week? Because I guess you haven't got the injuries, you perhaps haven't got the bumps and bruises.
Yeah, but we've only had to not make the tackles because we made the carries. You know, if you're making the carries, you're still one side of the physical contest, either carrying or defending, aren't you? So I think the lads have worked really hard. They'll have a bit of time now tonight and tomorrow to kind of get themselves refreshed and ready for training on Monday. And a lot of what we've got to prepare for is this style of play we want to adapt against Saracens. We've done okay against them, and we've beaten them twice in the Premiership this year, albeit with probably a different side they're putting out now while their internationals are going backwards and forwards and with their injuries. But you know, we always like to think we're very competitive against Saracens, and we like to think we'll do that again.
Do you go to Twickenham now expecting rather than hopeful? And if you do, how do you meet that expectation?
I think when you say expectant, I would agree with you, but I would say we're expectant of a good performance. I wouldn't say we go there expectant to win. We go there with an expectation that we know we can play there. We can play well there. So 2 years ago we lost by 8 points, having not started well against Saracens. Last year we came up with a win. You know what? With an improved performance. You know, I would like to think that what we're aiming for is an improved performance on last year. Whether that will be good enough, that will be down to whether Saracens improve at all or not. But I think, for me, that's what I've got to go there with, an expectation to do, that we'll play better than we did in our last two finals, because that's what you should do as a team, and we should play better than we did today, because we should look to improve from today as well.
Joe Simmons going from strength to strength and keeping Steenson out the side. What sort of potential's he got, and how impressed have you been with the way he's slotted in?
Yeah, well, I can't say anything other than I've been amazingly, fantastically impressed. I mean, I think the biggest marker of how impressed we've been with him is that we selected him again today. You know, that was a very big game for not just for Joe. That was a huge game for this rugby club to get to another final, and he's been put in there, and I think that probably shows where we see him standing at the moment on form. He's holding the place on his performances and meriting him being there. But then again, I thought we've got the perfect scenario where we've got Gareth on the bench, which would be in a very strong position if it was the other way around and we were starting with Gareth or Simmer on the bench. You know, we're very fortunate that the two are up and running. They both look like they're really, good on game time, and they're good on touch at the minute. They're good on their both of them look like they're striking the ball really well, kicking well, defending well. You know, we're a bit blessed at the moment that they're having to push each other so hard.
Did you expect Simmons to be as good as he has been?
I think it's one of those. It would be fantastic to be a coach and go, yes, I look at academy players 3 years before they play for the first team, and I know they're going to be something special. the reality is you hope they're going to be something special and you see something, and then over a period of a couple of years you see if their work ethic develops and their character, and then you start to think that maybe they've got it, and then obviously they earn their opportunities and they possibly take them. But I don't know if I've seen any of our players and gone, oh, that guy's going to be a star. I remember looking at Henry Slade the first time he was here doing a kicking session with Ali, and he was more, he looked more like a pipe cleaner than he did a rugby player. And I said to Ali, I said, "Are you sure he's going to be big enough?" And he said, "Oh, he's got something, Rob. He's got something, And so it just shows, everybody looks different. And choice. The thing is, some players work really hard to get an opportunity, and when they get the opportunity, they take them. Other guys aren't prepared to work hard enough for an opportunity, so never get them. And some guys work really hard and then just can't take the opportunities. And what Joe's done is he's worked really hard, and when his opportunities come along, he's taken them.
Have you seen anybody charge down a conversion?
Not for a while. I've seen that. I've obviously seen it happen before, but I think it was a good moment from Lockie, because it was a game where perhaps we didn't need to expend that energy to still win the game, but it kind of had a decisive moment, because we'd had a soft 5 minutes and it kind of sparked us back to life, and it probably drove our performance in the last 15 minutes. So again, it just probably shows the qualities that are running right through the team at the minute.
Rob, did the players know about the Wasps Saracens scoreline? Did they have an eye on it at all?
Well, we didn't tell them, but I'd be amazed if they didn't know, because the game was playing live on the screen, so while they're out there warming up, so I can't believe that they didn't see at least the closing score. So they'll have assumed that the Saracens were going to win, but I know that's another positive for us, because we played very well. So I don't think that we had any qualms or any desires one way or the other from a playing perspective on who we played. Personally, I think an extra Saracens final is a very good final. I think probably drives the merits of finishing first and second in the league, and for all those reasons, the two home semi-finalists probably playing in the final. I think for a lot of reasons it could make a really good final, and I think that's as good a reason for it to be the prime fixture in the calendar as any.
I know you spoke about dealing with expectations, but does the dynamic of you going there as champions, is it in any way different to last year?
Well, it depends how you look at it. I mean, there's another way of looking at it, and people haven't spoken about this at all. That team that started the semi-final for us today, there was only 4 players who started the final last year, started in that 15. 4. In most clubs, if you changed 11 players from a Premiership winning team, they'd be in panic. They'd think all that the world had fallen down around their ears. It's not happened there. There was 11 different guys who didn't start in the final last year who've just driven this team to a Premiership final. So yes, we can say we've experienced getting to the finals, but also what we're trying to create is a team that wants to go out there and win it again. I think the crucial thing year on year is to build your next team. Don't try and cling on to the glories of another past time, even when it's been relatively new for you. So we've always just said to the lads, it's not when this season started, it wasn't about last year, it's about building for the next one. And our selection has merited that the guys who deserve to play and have been on form are the ones we picked. We haven't looked to just try and get the same 15 towards the closing stages of the season back on the pitch who were there last year. So yes and no. Will those guys who haven't quite experienced it before, will it be a different experience for them and a bit something they have to get used to on the day? Yes. But will they also be guys who are absolutely desperate to win a Premiership final for the first time? Yes. So which one's going to be the best? Which one's going to give us the most energy? Well, the way we've looked at it is the players who are on form, the players who are working the hardest, and the guys who will play, and that should ultimately help us put in our best performance.
Will Harry Williams be in contention next week?
Harry's in contention. Harry's in contention. He had his first 4 weeks training this week. Touch and go whether we could have involved him this week. Obviously our issue with all the guys who've had relatively long-term issues is just how much game time they've had, or lack of game time, and whether there's a real value in trying to get someone in there who maybe is a little bit rusty. Okay.